Yes, and we have in the studio joining us this morning to look at the papers, Honorable Hubert Oragwe, a public affairs analyst. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning and thanks for having me.
All right, we'll begin with ABS website, and on ABS website we have Anambra government reassures on completion of Nzam Road Bridge project within 2 months. Anambra government reassures on completion of Nzam Road Bridge project within 2 months. President Buhari promises adequate security during elections. Anti-Piracy Society launches campaign against fake products in Awka. General election group takes campaign against violence to Awka and the environs. Those are the stories we have trending on ABS website. There are other stories. If you just log on there, you'll get the stories and more. All right, let's go by looking at the major story there. Nzam Road Bridge project to be completed within 2 months, an assurance being given by the state government. Honorable.
I think so far the governor or the government, so to say, they've done very well in road projects. It is no news that anywhere you want to go in Anambra State from the central point, it wouldn't take you more than an hour. And that is because of the roads and bridges that are being constructed by the government. So yes, this is a welcome development, and we hope that within that 2 months, those who are in charge, the contractors, because to my belief, the government has done its own part by awarding the contract and possibly paying for it. So we hope that the contractors will quickly complete this, particularly before the real rainy season starts.
Okay.
You know. Yeah.
All right. We have Anti-Piracy Society launches campaign against fake products in Awka. The issue about piracy still continues to linger. Do you think this campaign is coming at the right time?
Well, there's no wrong time for this campaign. You find out that, beginning from drugs to CD plates and all sorts. There's always this issue of piracy. But then again, you look at the causes of some of these things. It is down to the economy. I'm not trying to hold the brief for those who are bringing out fake products. But then when we put the economy right, that is only when we'll have the moral justification to kick against these people, because the first need of man is food, and then there's shelter and clothing. For as long as we don't have these on our tables, chances are that we'll do the wrong things to feed ourselves.
Chances are that we'll do the wrong thing to feed ourselves.
That's for survival.
How long are we going to continue like this?
For as long as the economy is bad, chances are that people will do whatever they can to feed.
President Buhari assures of security during the elections, promises adequate security during elections, and just yesterday we started receiving news about transfers of police commissioners across the country. Do you think this is a positive one? Well,
for strategic reasons, yes, police officers should be transferred, or commissioners, or whoever they are, for as long as the purpose is a positive one and not geared towards any backhand and rigging of elections during that period. But I would imagine that for strategic reasons, these people are getting transferred. Probably to avoid rigging as well, because when you've been in a place for so long, you are so familiar with the powers that be in that area. So if you get transferred just before the election, before you can begin to dine and wine with the powers that be in your new place, then the election has come and gone. So chances are that you won't get involved.
Are you now saying that is the right thing to do when some people are saying that no, somebody coming in just 1 week to the election, he hasn't even gotten himself acquainted with the terrain where he's going to work. So how is he going to monitor elections?
The police commissioner doesn't really need to get himself acquainted with every village and every ward and things like that. But he is the one at the helm of affairs. So invariably you found out that the place where he was before, he's so used to the powers that be, like I said. So let us be positive for once. Let us for once believe that the reason they're getting transferred is to avoid any sort of rigging. Before he can get used to that terrain, you see.
And what if they're being planted to take a do a specific job?
Well, I want to assume that the specific job is to make sure that the election is
yes, we want to be positive.
Let's be positive for once.
All right. Remember, you can join the discussion by calling the numbers on your screen. Call us and make your contributions and ask questions. When you call in, reduce the volume on your TV set and ensure that you wouldn't come to insult, but make your point, go straight to the point, and make your voice known on the show, heard on the show. We'll now move over now to the National Light, the next paper on our lineup this morning. Bill Clinton may meet Buhari article. That's the major story on the front page of the National Light. We have Anambra political debate debuts in National Light, page 14. That's above the nameplate there. Then beside the nameplate, Obiano urges quick completion of Mmiatanzam Road and Nengo Bridge. That's the story there. Imo politicians are local champions, betrayers. That's coming from Okorocha in his usual controversial way. We have a response to El Rufai coming from EU observers. El Rufai's strength. We won't be deterred, EU observers. Those are the major stories that we have on the front page of the National Light newspapers.
Bill Clinton coming to meet Buhari at the stage of the national election. What do you think is going on?
Well, it is my hope that what he's coming for is to help us talk to these men who are up there, particularly not to rig elections, and to actually see what they've got in their heads for us. Because
why only Buhari? Why not all the
No, he says Buhari
candidates?
and Atiku, who are actually the major players, you know, in the presidential election. I think that's what is in the headline. So yes, it will be a good thing if he's coming not for selfish reasons, but, you know, to help speak to them. Because we've had this history of, you know, one bad government after another. So let's hope that when he comes, he will talk to them and they will get born again and then realize that they are there not just to help their friends and relatives and, you know, their regions, but to put food. I keep talking about food on our table at all times, because, you know, not having money and food is actually the root of all evils, so to say, you know. So yeah, it will be a welcome development if it is for positive purposes and not for business purpose. Because some of these men come from out there and all they talk about is, well, if you get there, what are you going to do for me? You know.
All right, let's run now to the Daily Times. Elections. Governor El Rufai under fire over body bags comment. Stakeholders kicks as PDP threatens pullout from peace accord. If no, I was only defending Nigeria's sovereignty, El Rufai insists. Beside the nameplate of the Daily Times, we have pulls uncertainty pushes investment earning down by 42.4% in 1 month. I will fulfill all my campaign promises, Buhari assures Nigerians who won't fall in delivering credible polls, INEC tells ECOWAS observers. Customs intercepts bell of police uniforms, tear gas in Lagos, and other stories. 15 years after President signs anti-monopoly law. The issue of Governor El Rufai, his body bags comment on NTA. What does this portray for the politics, especially now that we are calling for peaceful elections?
To be honest, I haven't got the details about this body bag comment, but I'd always known him to be a very controversial man. The other day I was reading online, I don't know whether it is true or false, about him talking about Islamizing Kaduna State. You know, he'd always been a very controversial
That's what
person.
I wanted to ask, that the guy seems to be in a very controversial situation.
Yes, he'd always been very controversial. The other time he talked about, even if he makes the Pope his running mate, the Christians wouldn't vote for him. And then next he's talking about Islamizing Kaduna State. And then you begin to wonder what his purpose really is and who he is and what he's coming for. You know, so El Rufai is somebody that I wouldn't want to talk about, because you actually get upset talking about him, and I think he runs his mouth an awful lot.
And how could he be doing that and still saying that he's defending Nigeria's sovereignty?
Well, he's not in any way, if he's making this kind of comments, he's not in any way defending. I mean, I hesitate to call him a religious bigot. You know, if you're talking about Christians not voting for you, even if you make the Pope You running mate.
He started when he made a Muslim ticket. He chose his deputy as a
and then he talked about Islamizing Kaduna State. So if you Islamize Kaduna State, what happens to the Christians?
Or let's balance this. The presidency has also released a comment and said that the comment by El-Rufai was done in national interest. Can we differentiate where national interest starts and ends, and where bigotry, like you said, hate speech continues? Because we've seen this kind of comments when it comes from the opposition. It's called hate speech and fake news.
Right.
But when we now see it coming from the ruling political party, it becomes a national interest. How do we differentiate where national interest ends and where statements that can induce public crime comes in?
Well, who is El-Rufai and who is the federal government? That is the first question that you should ask. El-Rufai is the APC, and the APC is the federal government. And you don't expect the federal government, you don't expect APC to fight themselves at that level. You find out that a lot of things go behind closed doors. And, it's just like when we talk about corruption. And somebody said, well, if you move from any party to APC, your sins are forgiven. So you don't expect the federal government to condemn El-Rufai, who is a hatchet man in Kaduna and actually the north, as it were.
But when it comes to national interest, don't you think issues like, let me use an example of what is happening. People will always say, don't use America for example, but at least this is something that is happening in the same generation they are in as well. In America, Governor Northam of Virginia just made a recent public statement that he later denied, and Democrats in his party are calling for his resignation, that it poses danger to the political party. And we're seeing such happen in Nigeria, and the party is not taking any disciplinary action against its members.
That is because we're thousands of years behind the developed countries. We're thousands of years. What we talk about here is actually loyalty to your friends, loyalty to your political party, and not to the nation as a whole. So you don't compare us with America. We're still years and years and years behind. So it's all for selfish reasons when it comes to Nigeria. You don't expect the federal government at any point to come. How many actually, okay, let's take it. How many APC candidates and how many APC members are being haunted for fraud, for corruption? None of them, let's face the truth. So we are still being unrealistic. You don't expect Buhari or the federal government to condemn any APC governor. The other time there was an issue of a governor receiving up to $5 million or whatever it was in bribe. There was evidence, so to say. But then again, nothing was done about it because it's APC. And then there's the case of the CJ, a case that you could say is still under investigation, and suddenly he's suspended.
Judgment has been passed. Okay, let's move on. We won't fail in delivering credible polls. INEC tells ECOWAS observers. And do you see this coming election being credible from what is going on now?
If we go by history, the answer is no. The answer is no because over time we've seen accusations that INEC did this and INEC did that. And we are the voters as well. We've seen what INEC has. I'll give you an instance. I was in Nnewi the other day and the INEC was talking about people not using their phones in the polling booths and things like that. To them, it is to stop vote buying and rigging of election. To us, actually, why they don't want us to use our phones there is for us not to record the atrocities that INEC commit there, because we believe that they are in collusion with some parts of the government at every point in time. They take bribe. That is what we believe. We might not have proof of this, but then if you go through history, you find out that you cast your votes, and in the end, okay, check out the primaries that was done. In some of these primaries, the INEC wasn't there. I was a partaker in the primaries election. There was no INEC official there. But results came out anyway, So, yes, we know that.
They recognize those results.
Of course, they did recognize those
They
results.
recognized the results they were not part of.
Yes.
Right.
Let's move over now to the Daily Sun. On the front page of the Daily Sun, we have U.S. dispatches Clinton to meet Buhari, Atiku, ex-president on mission to get candidates' commitment to peace. Beside the nameplate, we have 2019 elections, customs intercept bales of police uniforms, tear gas canisters. Wike to UK envoy, watch Nigeria's pools closely. El-Rufai adamant on warning to foreigners. Leadership crisis rocks Yoruba Council of Elders. Those are the stories on the front page of the Daily Sun, we have Northern Youth stakeholders endorse Article 2019 and will provide security to ensure free, fair elections. That's coming from Buhari.
Provision of security again. Okay, let's look at this one because I've seen it in the other paper. 2019 elections, customs intercept bells of police uniforms, tear gas canisters. What are all this for? Is it for the police?
Well, you ask me. It just might be for the police. But the truth remains that, you see, now we know that the customs, they are part and parcel of the elections and election safety. The other day I was at a workshop somewhere in Oka, and it was a workshop, it was in conjunction with the road safety. They were talking about election safety, in Anambra State and Nigeria at large. And then you find out that the custom, the immigration, the civil defense, the prisons even, they've all got a role to play in this election period. Now, I would imagine the chances are that these police uniforms that you see, they're all for the purpose of the election. I mean, we know what we've been seeing all these years, and chances are that this is what the case is. So,
do they have a special police uniform for election?
Well, if you
is there any policeman that does not have an uniform? Do you understand?
What I'm saying in effect is this uniform just might not be for the police.
Because
might not be for the
police, the authorities wouldn't have seized it because the
authorities wouldn't have seized it. I mean, the other day, 53 point whatever billion naira was voted for election security. And then you talk about the police and the INEC, but people like road safety and probably the customs and the immigrations, I mean, part of them were not remembered in sharing of this money for election safety. But you find out that the immigration man has the duty to make sure that foreigners don't come in to vote, especially from our borders. You find out that it is the duty of the road safety man to make sure that no human vehicles are seen around, particularly when we have threats from IPOB and the rest of them, so that we know when we are being bombed or anything like that. But some of these organizations were not recognized in sharing of this money. So yes, I mean, the customs, they are an integral part of the election safety, and this is a good example of what they can do. Let us hope that those police uniforms will not still leave their custody and find itself to where it was meant to go.
All right. We'll move over now to the Punch. On the front page of the Punch newspaper, we have elections. PDP rejects the redeployment of 37 CPs, says it is politically tainted. Tinubu's ex-CSO, Egbetokun, now Kwara CP. Ikoyi clash, we can't find ex-NIADG wife, says EFCC. Apapa gridlock, federal government reopens Leventis Bridge. INEC ensures 1 million personnel involved in 2019 polls. BRT bus crashes teenager to death in Lagos. And there are other stories on the front page of the Punch newspaper. We won't be able to take all of them now. Let's
we'll look at this major headline there. We've talked about this deployment, and we're just seeing that the PDP rejects the deployment of 37 CP, says it's politically tainted.
When you talk about Tinubu's ex-CSO, then it sounds as if it is politically motivated. But then, if you look at it again, I keep saying, let us for once be positive. It is the duty of the populace to report any irregularities during the elections. And so you cannot just wake up and accuse the government of being partial in all this, in the transfers, until anything is proven. Everyone remains innocent until proven guilty. So every now and again, the police gets transferred. And, okay, let us take examinations, for instance. When you're taking an examination, you find out that your invigilator just might not be your teacher who you're familiar with. You see? So the election is a kind of examination. So let us be positive and say again that they are being transferred so that they will do the right jobs in the right places. The chances are that they've taken bribe in the places where they are. So the government wants to pull them away from there.
And the chances are that they have been given something to go and deliver.
Well, the government has promised us free and fair elections. And so let's believe what
just
they said.
Always.
And this is part of them delivering the free and fair elections. Until it is proved to be different, we cannot just stand and accuse them, of being wrong.
And the question might be from several grounds. If Botoku is not transferred to Kwara, where again will he be transferred? Probably people will say that wherever he's transferred to, people will certainly, because of that relationship he had with Tinubu that he must influence for the APC, because all the states in Nigeria has APC.
So where do you want him to be? You want him to be sacked as
because
if he was brought into Anambra, we'll say, well, APC wants to take over Anambra. You take him to Abia and we'll say that, well, they want to take over Abia from PDP. So would the man now be retired because there's an election coming when he's not due for retirement?
All right.
You know, let's be positive.
He should be where he is until after the election.
All right, we will now take the Nation newspaper together with the Guardian as we round up. Buhari to PDP EU. El-Rufai spoke in national interests. Lagos, Kwara, Kogi, others get new police chiefs. Ajimobi conveys accident victims to UCH. ACF support for Atiku won't change pool's outcome. Air Force acquires 22 aircraft to battle insurgency. And now to the Guardian newspaper. On the front page of the Guardian, we have outrage as El-Rufai threatens foreigners over reactions. Interfere and get body bag treatment, governor warns. PDP seeks sanctions, EU defies intimidation. Buhari promises to provide security at polls. Abaje to spend 50% of Lagos annual budget on education sector. Customs intercept bales of illegal police uniforms, tear gas canisters. High cost of few cancer screening treatment centers reduces patient survival chances. Those are the much we could take on the front page of the Guardian, and that's much we will take on the newspaper headlines for this edition of Good Morning Anambra. We thank Honorable Hubert Oragu for joining us on the show this morning and airing your views. Dalo.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, sir.
All right, now stay with us as we move over for our first discussion segment as we look at 2019 and security. So the discussion continues in the next 30 minutes. Stay with us.